Just while David sort something out on his charts, just going back to the YM, looking on the 3-minute here, and again, as we can see that S4 level looked as though there was a nice little move to the downside, and it was, if you are trading the very, very fast charts, it did move away. It's not gone back to test it again, and it's just highlighting, understanding what is a significant level in that particular instrument. Now, it's a significant level for lots of different reasons. It's significant to other traders in the market, and it's being able to identify them accurately so that when price sort of tests it, fails, approaches it again, at least you are aware of it, particularly if you're in a trade and your position comes to one of these levels. It's best, forewarned is forearmed, as it were. Right, but what I really want to say very quickly, because I know, having looked down the list of people who are with us here today, I know we've got a lot of MetaQuotes, MT4 and MT5 users, and users of our indicators as well, the quantum trading indicators. And really the best way, I just want to highlight two things. First of all, you can actually trade most broker platforms these days. If you want to trade a single instrument such as the S&P or the NASDAQ, or in this case the Dow, you can do. It's not the actual contract. It's a synthetic one. It's one that brokers put together, but it allows you to participate in another market other than forex, and you would use exactly the same approach. I've got here, what have I done here? I've actually taken this is the Camarilla levels that we have for MT5, and we can see here that they're going to be very slightly different, the values, because, as I said, this is not actually the futures contract, but you would approach it in exactly the same way. And what we have for MT45, as we do for NinjaTrader as well, and that is to use something like a Renko chart, which will give you much more precise entries and exits. As we can see here, this is for the US 30 cash, which is the equivalent of the Dow Jones. And again, support and resistance, price-based support and resistance on this case, very, very important. This is the little move lower that we had that was picked up on that 3-minute chart with the Camarilla. You can see here it's desperately trying to rally again, but keeps hitting that level that was highlighted on the NinjaTrader chart. And that is then reflected on, this is just a standard time-based chart. This is actually the 15-minute, but I can put it down to something like the 4-minute chart here, as we can see, again, this attempt to rally. So if you've got a forex account, you will certainly be able to trade these other markets. And in fact, if you go into the Market Watch, these are all the pairs. There are hundreds, loads of pairs. You can trade stocks. It goes on and on and on. So, as I said, you don't have to have a futures account to day trade these markets. You can do it via these contracts that that brokers make available to you. But what I wanted to show, particularly those of you who have our indicators and perhaps are students or even students of our forex program, and this is just something that maybe you would like to consider for yourselves. I just have to find the charts now that I have created, which is brilliant. Oh, here we are. Yeah. Those of you who have the forex program and the indicators will know that we have an indicator called the currency strength indicator, which basically, that's the array. Let's have a look. Where's it gone? That's that one. That's the heat map. It's one thing I don't like about I've lost my CSI. I think what I'll do, just bear with me 1 second. Turn myself off a second. I'd actually moved it over to the monitor on the other side. Essentially, we have this indicator which gives us an indication, displays graphically where the money is flowing to into the individual currencies. We can see here, this is the I said earlier, there's been a very, very strong British pound buying, as we can see here. A certain amount of buying of the euro as well, but certainly not as much as the British pound, and it really has been consistent throughout the day. Usually you have maybe a strong move in the morning, and then it kind of pieces out a little bit in the New York session. But obviously it's a buying of the pound, and then we want to know, well, what's it being bought against? And we've developed another indicator. This is our matrix indicator, which actually ranks the pairs. And what you do is you then pull out all the pound pairs, and that tells you where there's been most buying of the pound against what counterpart currency. Now this morning it was actually against the Aussie, but there's been, obviously from here, there's been a very nice move in the pound CAD. We know that because of these numbers here. This is quite a high number for the hourly chart, so we could go off and explore potentially a trade in the pound Canadian, possibly continuing to join the move that's underway at the moment. As we can see here, there's also a nice move in the euro CAD. What that tells us is the Canadian's actually been sold quite heavily because of these numbers here. The pound Aussie has actually sort of slipped down a little bit. It's gone a little bit into congestion. So you go to your profile for that particular pair, which I've got here. Let's just move the CSI out of the way. Let's move the thingamy. And what I've actually done is, and you can do this on any chart yourself. It doesn't have to be the one with the levels on in particular. And that is, if I just move this out of the way for a little bit, and that is put the lines for the individual currency pair on the chart itself. So this is obviously the pound Aussie, and we have here the pound with the Aussie. It's actually extract them, and you can do that. You put the indicator on the chart and you simply blank out the currencies, the individual currencies that you don't want. So you take those out and you just leave the ones that reflecting the pair that you happen to be trading at the time. Now I've just happened to have this with the levels, as we can see here. This is the hourly chart for the pound Aussie, and this is this nice move high. It's actually on the cross. Looks like now it's overextending. Is that going to be potentially a reversal on the faster time frames? Well, we can go down to, say, the 3-minute chart, see what's happening there. Just wait for that to load. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to load. And what's happened? Well, yeah, there's been a kind of reversal, a kind of rollover, as it were. What's also interesting with these lines is when they're kind of moving together, as we can see here, what you'll find is the actual price action on the pair is likely just to be drifting sideways. So what you're looking for all the time in Forex is you're looking for that strong divergence. You're looking for, as David said, that you want that pull away. You want one moving strongly in one direction and the other moving in the other direction, which we have seen with the pound Aussie today. And looking at the daily chart, this is what we've seen. We had a nice downtrend on the daily chart. In fact, everything suggested that this was going lower. Why is it, you've suddenly got a bullish engulfing candle at the bottom here? Well, it is end of month, all sorts of reasons why, particularly in Forex, particularly towards the end of the month, where you can have these flows in and out of these individual currencies for all sorts of different reasons. But the volume under that huge candle, it's reasonable, but I would have expected that to be much, much more. So we could see simply a resumption of the primary trend at the moment for the pound Aussie is actually obviously in a downtrend ever since it broke away from the volume point of control. And interestingly, if we look over to the left of the chart, we have these two massive volatility candles, and we really had to wait for a break lower. And it's actually been a really nice trend in this pair since the what have I done? Oh dear. Since the 22nd of April. Let's move that. I do apologize. Got a bit carried away there. There we are. So, but that's been today's price action, which has, been great, but really all signaled from initially from the currency strength indicator, and by putting the currency strength indicator, having the levels on the individual chart will certainly help you. It just keeps you focused on the chart that you are looking at, and as I said, you can see the movement of the currency pair through the CSI, but taking out all the currencies that you don't actually need for the chart that you are trading, and just going through the multiple time frames. And again, our Renko chart, those of you who read my analysis on the Facebook page will see lots and lots of examples of how you put these together with the Renko. And this is, as I said, the move higher. And with the Renko chart in particular, what you wait for is these pullbacks to see whether if you're in the trade, what you have here, this is the pullback. Although we had red bricks, and we had a couple of red trend dots, this has stayed relentlessly blue. But this is your primary trend higher. These are your secondary trends. As you can see here, there's these little pullbacks here before the primary trend was reinstated. Now look what's happening here. Does it look like that this primary trend is now going to be reversing? We know that it may be potentially setting up for a reversal, a pullback that is tradable, because we've had a transition into the dark blue and now into dark red, and now we're into a bright red situation. But given it's coming, it's 6 o'clock here in the UK, we're going to be coming to the end of the New York session. If there's going to be any move further, it's going to be a little bit desultory, as it were. Still potentially, a few pips to be taken, but certainly nothing like the moves that we've seen in the pair going to the long side, as I said, for the session that we've just had. And I move back to you, David. Is that okay?